So in your mind, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest,
Yes.
how important is it for every entrepreneur to have a will in place, ASAP?
I think it's a 10.
10?
Especially if you start having business assets.
Really?
You want a will. You want to know that your family's not going to fight out in court after you die.
What about for somebody who's maybe a little spiritual and says that I don't even want to talk about my death because that might cause my death? Hey, I'm like kind of not trying to laugh, but I'm being serious because I have actually talked to people that say this. They say,
Don't want to put that out there in the universe.
They say, I don't want to talk about my death because if I do, it might perpetuate like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, talk about your family's life rather than your death.
Oh, okay. So you've been down this road before.
Yes.
When you make a will, how long does it take to make a will with somebody?
You know, it's an appointment with an estate planning attorney for maybe an hour or two. You sit in there, and then you can usually have them wrapped up in a week or so.
Really?
All your documents.
Okay.
Whether it's a will, trust, you need to talk to a good estate planning attorney about how to combine those and make it all work for you.
I want to share a sad story, but it's a true story.
Okay.
And it's a bad deal, but I want to give you an example because I think a lot of people watching this, they maybe don't see how important it is.
Right.
Years ago, I worked with a business owner, and one of his clients would come by and deliver pizza all the time, just to kind of stay in his mind. He would drop by pizza and say, hey, love it if you'd refer me when you get a chance. And he'd always drop by pizza, very consistent with the pizza. And so you got to know him, you got to see him as here's the guy who owns a business who's always humbling himself to drop by pizza, and it's a way to build a relationship. Right. He's probably 43, 44. And I remember that he didn't come by one week, and we're like, what's going on? Well, we found out his wife had actually, he actually had passed away. And he had a sudden heart attack, age 43, 44, and found out that he didn't have life insurance and he didn't have a will set up or anything. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden his wife, who's now the widow, she now became partners with his business partner, and they had no cash. They didn't have enough money to even pay for the funeral. It was just this very dramatic situation. Yes. He was so critical in the daily operation of the business, and it became a bad deal. And only at times like that, in my mind, do you really see how important it is to have a will.
Right.
And so I'm not trying to increase the amount of will-related business in America for attorneys. I am saying, though, if you are watching this and you have anybody who's dependent upon you at all, wife, kids, whatever, staff, employees, you really need to make a will.
Absolutely.
I mean, what does it cost to make a will? If you come in, you say, well, I want to make a will. What does that cost?
I'd say, depending on how many assets you have, probably start around $750 and go up from there.
Okay, $750 to going up from there. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, in your mind, how important is it for every entrepreneur to have a trust?
I think a trust depends on your situation, but when you get a good estate planner, there's a high likelihood they're going to use a trust as far as how they're going to set up all of your estate plan. But make sure you have a will. Talk to your attorney about whether or not you need a trust. I would say 6 or 7, they're probably using trust.
Okay.
Out of 10.
All right, so Wes, now what happens to people's estate after they pass away if they don't have a will or a trust?
Well, that's a big difference between the two when you're talking about what they do. A will is filed with the court, and then the court knows how that you wanted your estate to go, and they usually honor that. As a trust, it's outside the court process. Whatever's inside a trust, it is determined by the trust document itself, the rules that you set up, what's done with all the property.
So if I don't have a trust though in place, and I don't have a will,
yes,
what's going to happen?
Then you still go to court, but as opposed to the court administering your will, trying to honor your wishes, then it goes to whatever default rules are in your state about how property is distributed among your heirs.
And just real talk though for a second, like in Oklahoma, for instance, like if you do not have a will in effect,
right.
My understanding is that a large amount of your assets are taxed.
Yes.
So like real talk, if you died today and you had a property worth $1 million, fully paid off, what happens? Oklahoma.
Well, you're going to get an estate tax of some sort, which is why trusts are coming into play a lot, because trusts can help.
So your kids or whoever owns the land now gets a tax bill.
Yes.
For how much if it's $1 million property?
Well, that you would have to ask your CPA.
Okay.
But what you do want to do is also, if you don't have a will it's not just your kids necessarily. It could be your parents, your spouse, your kids, all of them in there trying to figure out what their share is.
Yeah.
Or if you had a prior marriage or children from another marriage, you can see how complicated this can get inside court
Yes.
with everybody figuring out who gets what.